Look, rock steps in the mall business. We buy different types of shopping centers, open air centers, and enclosed malls. And if you're in the enclosed mall business, you need to understand the history of the department stores. Where did it come from? What was its evolution? What's the storyline? Where are we today? The fall of the department store wasn't sudden. It was slow, painful, and really personal. So let's get started at the very beginning. The department stores started in the late 1800s in Paris and New York as several companies, Le Bon Marché, Stewart's, A.T. Stewart's in New York, fundamentally transformed retail into a modern, leisure-focused activity. These establishments were architectural marvels that introduced revolutionary business practices and democratized luxury goods. So at the end of this era, luxury became accessible, shopping became entertainment, retail became a revolution. What happened that made these department stores a true revolution? One, you had fixed prices. So the introduction of fixed prices was revolutionary because it replaced the stressful, inefficient practice of haggling, where prices depended on negotiation skills, social status. By clearly marking non-negotiable prices, the price is the price, early department stores provided transparency and equal treatment for all customers, establishing the standard for modern, anxiety-free commerce. Second, returns. You could return merchandise. Prior to department stores, buyer beware. So now you could return merchandise, which was a massive change to how retail operated beforehand. Offering satisfaction guaranteed policies and easy exchanges built crucial customer trust, minimized risk for the shopper, and actively encouraged hesitant buyers to make purchases. Through the use of abundant natural light, like atriums of light, open floor plans, elaborate merchandise presentations, stores like Le Bon Marché created a sensory spectacle designed to entertain customers and encourage impulse buying. So you had no hagglings, no regrets, no running between shops. Get all your shopping done in one place. Department stores made shopping feel less like a gamble and more like a sure thing. So let's talk about the Golden Age. The Golden Age was the early to mid 20th century, where department stores became community hubs. Things like lunch counters and tea rooms, parades, Christmas displays. These amenities provided a place for shoppers, predominantly women, to socialize and rest during a day of shopping, establishing the department store as a legitimate leisure destination. There were parades, there were civic events. Stores often sponsored major civic events, most famously Macy's Thanksgiving Parade in New York, which cemented their role as a community institution and generated immense goodwill and immense brand recognition. And then the famous Christmas displays in the department store windows or inside the department store. These were elaborate, festive window displays and indoor Santaland experiences. They became annual traditions, defining the holiday shopping season for millions. And these stores were just beautiful, and they were fun, and they were entertaining. All these kind of family-focused, exciting things. That was the department. This was downtown. Related to this is that you had this urbanization trend throughout the United States where people moved to the bigger cities from the countryside, from the agricultural areas, and it created more density, it created more population growth, and it fed into the sales of the department store. And the success of the model led to the rise of major regional chains across the US, which were deeply embedded in their local identities before evolving into national powerhouses. So Macy's grew from its Herald Square flagship in New York into a national brand synonymous with large-scale marketing and nationwide events. You had Marshall Fields out of Chicago, defined Chicago retail with its elegant State Street store, famed for its customer service philosophy, give the lady what she wants. In Detroit, you had Hudson's. It dominated the Michigan market with one of the world's tallest department store buildings, a major regional landmark. And then you had the Wanamaker building in Philly, known for pioneering the price tag and money-back guarantee, and for its massive pipe organ and grand atrium, a cathedral to shopping in Philadelphia. Over the years, these institutions transformed. They became like the town square where Thanksgiving started with a parade and Christmas lived in a window display. So after World War II, you had the massive growth of suburbia throughout the United States. And the malls followed the suburban growth. And so instead of retail just being downtown, you had this suburban sprawl, and a city like Dallas might have 15 malls instead of just downtown Fort Worth and downtown Dallas. Same thing in Houston. Instead of downtown Houston, where there was a Foley's Mall, you would have 15 other malls. And so this spread in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, led by different types of department stores. And major retailers like Macy's and Marshall Field's and Penney's moved from their historic downtown flagships to become anchors in suburban malls. Mall developers relied on these large stores to generate the significant foot traffic needed to make the entire shopping center viable. And the economics was basically give the land away for free to the department stores. They would anchor the periphery of an enclosed mall, and everything in between, they would get really high rents from specialty tenants. And that's how landlords made money. They didn't make it on the anchors, they made it on the specialty tenants. So what was this shift about? The shift was about cars, about convenience, and going into an enclosed, climate-controlled environment. The suburban residents lived further from city centers. They wanted to shop out in the suburbs, making daily trips to downtown department stores really impractical. And malls provided a one-stop destination for convenience where shoppers could park once, walk to various stores, eat, socialize without worrying about traffic or the weather. And this innovation, this indoor climate control, created a comfortable, year-round shopping environment protected from the elements. Malls became a popular third place, a social environment separate from home and work for suburbanites, the moms with the kids who lacked traditional downtown community centers. It was safe. It was a managed space for social interaction and entertainment. And for a time, department stores adapted and thrived. For several decades, this adaptation worked perfectly. Department stores successfully transitioned their grand downtown experiences to the suburb, anchoring the rise of the shopping mall as America's dominant retail format. The revolution went suburban. Same stores, different zip codes, different geographies, and suddenly shopping meant never having to parallel park again or to pay for parking. What happened to the department stores? Booming growth, 60s, 70s, 80s, things started to crack in the 80s and 90s. What happened? The department stores were hit from multiple directions. Number one, the discounters. And the discounters were primarily Walmart, but you also had people like Target. Target was a division of the Dayton Hudson Company, which is a department store, and they had very high-end merchandising capabilities. Their buyers were able to choose and edit from all of the opportunities to buy things that were department store-ish in terms of quality or look at discount prices. Target really perfected that. So both in hard goods and in soft goods. So they created designs, their own designs, that were mimicking department store quality at a third the cost. And so one aspect that hurt the department stores was the discounters. Walmart, the mammoth one, Target, from a department store background, that hurts. Second, you have category killers. The category killers are stores that focus on one category and just have a massive assortment of merchandise. These specialized stores dominated specific product categories with unmatched selection, unmatched expertise, stealing away profitable departments and departments that drove traffic, that drove trips to the department store. So you've got home improvement, Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, those are the key ones. You've got toys, Toys R Us. You've got electronics, Circuit City, they're gone, Best Buy. You've got pets, you've got these category killers, and that hurts. You have Home Depot starting to steal market share and Lowe's starting to steal market share. And all of these categories, whether it's toys or electronics, taking pieces of the department store. So discounters, category killers, and then you now have a third element, and that's off price. And off price is where stores that buy excess merchandise from the department stores at dramatic discounts. So they'll buy end of the season, excess merchandise, mismatches in color, sizing, runs, etc. And they'll have a whole store of deep discounted goods that theoretically were at a department store, but the customers were fooled and think that everything there was at the department store, but they're getting a great value. Lower margins, high turnover of goods, a markdown cadence, so that on average, all the merchandise in the store is marked at a market price. And that creates a lot of turnover. So a turnover and off price might be 6 times a year. You turn your merchandise, revenues divided by average inventory at retail, compared to a department store that will turn at twice a year. So you always have fresh merchandise. So you had the dramatic growth of off-pricers, the dramatic growth of category killers, the dramatic growth of discounters like Walmart and Target, and then you got e-commerce. And e-commerce is the Amazon effect. Amazon's obviously the biggest player. And all of these forces, these 4 big forces, impact the department stores. So the department store had promised everything under one roof, but suddenly everything was everywhere. Cheaper, deeper selection, or just a click away. In addition to external pressures, department stores inflicted significant self-inflicted wounds, leading to a slow, tragic unraveling. Rather than innovating, many chains became complacent and mismanaged their assets and brand image. Many stores maintained really large physical spaces with high operating costs as customer habits and market demands were changing. The ultimate case of too big to survive is Sears. At its peak, more than 3,000 stores in the Sears brand, whether it's Sears or Kmart. And some of these stores were multi-level. They're all 150 or 250,000 square feet that were very high maintenance, high HVAC and staffing costs. And once sales per square foot declined, the stores themselves became anchors dragging down the business. Sears' operating costs were so high that even modest sales declines became catastrophic. The model was designed for a mid-20th century shopping economy, not in the 2010s. And so these chains, they stopped investing. They had dingy carpet, they had fluorescent lights, they had half-stock racks, and the insufficient investment in store infrastructure and the customer experience made them less appealing compared to newer retail formats. So if you have a department store of 100 or 200,000 square feet that was doing $10 or $15 million, that might make profit of $1 million or $2 million a year, that's not enough profit to reinvest maintenance capital in a store so big. It might cost $3, $4, $5, $7 million to reinvest in new fixtures and new lighting and new carpet and new flooring. And these stores weren't producing enough profit for the department stores to reinvest. You also had a situation where the CEOs chased financial engineering instead of reinventing the store. And the Sears story is a tragic cautionary tale. Some companies prioritize short-term financial strategies over long-term investment in their core retail business. And finally, there was pricing confusion. There were endless coupons, and sales cheapened the magic. Frequent discounting, promotional activities may have reduced the perceived value and appeal of the department store brand. And so what happened was that the generalist lost to the specialist, the convenient lost to the cheapest, and the building lost to the browser. Now, how does this relate to Wiener stores? Okay, so Wiener's was our family business, started in the 20s, not in downtown, off of downtown by my grandfather Isidore, and he followed the path into the suburbs. And he grew into a shopping center structure that was not malls, it was strip centers. So in the strip center, there was a grocery store, drugstore, and a Wiener store. And these grew in the suburbs in the Texas and Louisiana market. Now, when you had competition with the growth of the malls, you had Penny's and Sears and other retailers, but they would grow with brands like Nike, like Levi's that we carried. So we got squeezed by not just the Walmarts and Targets of the world, but we got squeezed by the department stores and the growth of the malls. And so Wiener's went out of business just like Sears, and many department stores went out of business as well. It's a personal story. If you take a look at today, there are large department stores that are stable and doing just fine. Macy's, Nordstrom's, Dillard's still exist in, call it, the middle to upper middle market. Penny's still exists in the middle market, and then you've got Saks and Neiman's on the high end. That's kind of the structure, particularly the middle market. Sears was basically closed down, and the value of the company was more through its real estate and its consent value than the operating business of Sears. What that means is that the value of the real estate to transform it into multifamily or chop it up and make it junior anchored retail or something adjacent to a mall, or the consent value where anybody who wants to redevelop a mall needs to go to the owner of these boxes and say, hey, we want to change the common areas, we want to change the parking lot, we want to build something here or there, we need your consent. Well, the consent is going to cost money. So you got to give me $1 million or $10 million if I'm going to improve whatever you want to do in this mall. So consent value plus redevelopment value was more value than Sears as an operating company. Talk about Penny's. Penny's was going downhill until Simon and Brookfield bought Penny's. Why did they buy Penny's? They bought it for 3 reasons. In my opinion, here's the order. Number 1 is consent value, because Penny's you have to get approval if you want to do anything in terms of redeveloping a shopping center. And so you have to go to Penny's and say, hey, Penny's, I want to demolish this wing and I want to put a Target here. I need you to send me an amendment to what is called the REA. It's the legal regime for a shopping center. And Penny's go, whoa. If you want my consent, you're going to have to give me 2 more options at substandard land. You're going to have to redo the roof, put on a new facade, and give me basically a lot of value. The second reason is to protect against co-tenancy exposure in Simon and Brookfield properties. Co-tenancy exposure is when a department store or a major tenant in a shopping center, in a mall, if they close down and they're not replaced within 12 to 18 months with a comparable type of tenant, then there's a contractual right on behalf of the smaller tenants to have their rents reduced, because in theory, that department store was supposed to drive traffic. And if they're not there, they're not driving traffic. Therefore, I need help because I'm a specialty retailer. That's the theory. So Simon and Penny and Brookfield bought Penny's to protect them shutting their doors in Simon and Brookfield properties that would trigger a reduction in rent, a reduction in net operating income. That's the second reason. Third reason, viable company. Penny's actually looks okay. It's a high-low strategy, competing at the middle market against Kohl's. Some of their stores are too big, some are just right. Their stores have low rent, and they're actually profitable. I think most, if not all, their stores are profitable as an ongoing business. So Penny's, three reasons: consent rights, co-tenancy, protecting against downside, and the viability of the business producing cash flows. I think Penny's will be around for a while. So in my opinion, the future of the department store lies in its flexibility and its efficiency, and it's a stark contrast to the massive, inflexible anchors of the mall era. So you're seeing off-mall formats. Retailers are strategically moving out of traditional enclosed malls into more convenient locations, such as open-air lifestyle center or standalone stores with dedicated parking, and reducing the reliance on the overall health of a mall. You have digital-first strategies. E-commerce is prioritized, with pickup stores functioning as integrated hubs for online order pickups, returns, and showrooms to ensure a seamless cross-channel customer experience. And then you're also seeing prototypes get smaller footprints. The trend is towards smaller, more efficient store designs that are cheaper to operate in stock, contrasting sharply with the massive, multi-story anchor stores of the past. So the department store really didn't die. It got humble, went digital, and figured out that survival meant being wherever the customer already was. Now, high-end flagships have survived as experiences: Macy's Herald Square, Bloomingdale's, the Saks Neiman's, but they're experiences, not commodity stores. So in terms of experiential retailing, flagships offer unique services and amenities like personal styling, spas, gourmet dining, transforming shopping into a memorable event rather than just a transaction. You also have brand building and prestige. These stores serve as powerful physical marketing tools, utilizing aspirational settings and exclusive events to reinforce the brand's luxury image and status. And these become showrooms for luxury. The focus shifts to high-margin, premium items displayed in a really elegant setting, prioritizing an elevated experience and lifestyle presentation over simple sales volume. So ultimately, luxury staples survive by selling experiences that came with the side of merchandise instead of the other way around. So the department store was never just about buying things. It was about aspiration. It was about experience. It was about fun. It was about spectacle. And that era that was kind of democratized for the country has closed. There still are some pieces of this, particularly on the high end, but most of that era is gone. And we're left with the Walmarts and the Targets of the world and some middle market department stores and a group of strong specialty stores out there. But that era of department stores has really transformed, and it's stabilized at a little bit less of an exciting level and at less of a total quantity level. But the department stores are stable after this significant transformation.